Lucy has lived her whole life in the shadow of a tragedy that happened to her family many years ago. In 2003, a maniac showed up in their town and killed 4 teenagers, including Lucy's older sister, Summer. But one day the girl finds a time machine in the barn, which sends her back 21 years to the day of the first murder, and now Lucy faces a difficult choice. Should she try to change the past to save her sister, or will these changes destroy her own present? Situations, when very similar movies are released one after another, are not so rare in cinema. Sometimes accidentally, sometimes deliberately, although for big projects it is always a big risk, because the one who got there first will either collect all the cream from the heated audience or will fail, poisoning everything around it, so the audience will probably won't want to see a similar movie anymore. Time Cut is not even the second, but the third movie in the last 2 years about a girl traveling back in time to stop a maniac, following Totally Killer and What a Wonderful Knife, and the least successful of them all. The paradox here is that Time Cut was shot first of them all. Filming took place in the summer of 2021, and one of the cinematographers, who worked on it, is Ukrainian Helena Hutchins, the one who was accidentally shot by Alec Baldwin 3 years ago. Nevertheless, post-production was stretched out, also due to Hollywood strikes, so that Time Cut was bypassed by more nimble competitors, and in the end the movie was not released in theaters, but sent directly to Netflix, where youth fiction, actively flirting with the progressive agenda, is always welcome. Of course, it would be unfair to criticize Time Cut on the basis of the fact that 2 similar films have already been released before it, but, at the same time, their existence is impossible to ignore. And against these movies, the shortcomings and blunders of this film can be seen especially clearly. We can begin with the fact that Hannah Macpherson, alas, is not a very good director, and moreover, her directing is lame in everything, from composing scenes and working with actors to keeping the pace and forming a certain unified style. Time Cut looks as if it were an arbitrary episode of some minor Canadian TV series. Macpherson cannot tell a story in a fascinating way, cannot interest her actors, and cannot even properly work off some genre elements. What is happening on the screen is not believable as sci-fi, as slasher, or even as youth comedy. Although in terms of plot it's kind of a thriller, like any time travel movie, Time Cut devotes a significant part of its timing to reflection on how a modern teenager would have behaved with his peers 20 years ago. The authors of Totally Killer took this task with humor, but the writers of Time Cut are extremely serious. Being a carrier of modern morality, Lucy arrives in 2003 like Columbus to the natives, educating her unintelligent ancestors that bullying is bad, that feminism and girl power are everything, and, well, if a girl likes a girl, it's totally great, because these boys are all abusers and insensitive egomaniacs. Behind the scenes play pop hits of the early noughties, screen blows up with 50 Shades of Pink and Rhinestones. There are a lot of signs of the time, most of which will not cause a nostalgic response outside of US, but even these purely external trump cards Macpherson can't play out in an interesting way. And the decision to take the violence almost entirely out of the frame, thus making the movie accessible to younger teenagers, finally writes out Time Cut a black mark. However, this happens often. If you try to make a movie for everyone, the result is a movie for no one.